What's at the core of achieving the good life? The major key to the good life. The major key is not in learning how to set goals. It is not in learning how to better manage your time. It is not in mastering the attributes of leadership every day in 1,000 different ways. We are trying to improve ourselves by learning how to do things. We spend a lifetime gathering knowledge in classrooms, in textbooks, and experiences. Now, if knowledge is power, if knowledge is the forerunner to success, then why do we fall short of our objectives? Why, in spite of all our knowledge, and in spite of our collective experiences, do we find ourselves aimlessly wandering, settling for a life of existence rather than a life of substance? There may be many answers to this question. Your answers may be different than your associates or your spouses or your friends. While there may be many answers to this question, the fundamental answer is the absence of discipline applying all that we know. That's the key word, discipline, self-discipline. We might add one more word here, consistent. Consistent self-discipline. It doesn't really matter how smart you are or how much you know if you don't use it. It doesn't really matter that you graduated magna cum laude if you're stuck in a low-paying job. It doesn't really matter if you attended every seminar that comes to town if you don't apply what you've learned. Better than knowledge is applied knowledge. And once we've applied our knowledge, we must study the results of that process. Apply our knowledge. Study the results. Refine our approach finally by trying and observing and refining and trying again. Our knowledge will inevitably produce worthy results, admirable results, and with the joy and results of our efforts. We continue to apply, to learn, to observe, to fuel our ambition with the positive reinforcement of continued progress. Pretty soon we'll find that we're swept into a spiral of achievement, a vertical rise to success, and the ecstasy of that total experience makes for a life of triumph over tragedy, dullness, and mediocrity. But for this whole process to work for us, we must first master the art of discipline, self-discipline, consistent self-discipline. It takes consistent self-discipline to master the art of setting goals, to master the art of time management, to master the art of leadership, to master the art of parenting and relationships if we don't make consistent self-discipline. Part of our daily lives, the results we seek will be sporadic and elusive. It takes a consistent effort to truly manage our valuable time, or we'll be consistently frustrated. Our time will be eaten up by others whose demands are stronger than our own. It takes discipline to conquer the nagging voices in our minds. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of poverty, the fear of a broken heart. It takes discipline to keep trying when that nagging voice within us brings up the possibility of failure. It takes discipline to admit our errors and recognize our limitations. The voice of the human ego speaks to all of us. Sometimes the voice of ego says that we should magnify our value beyond our results. It leads us to exaggerate, to not be totally honest. It takes discipline to be totally honest, both with ourselves and with others. Be certain of one thing. Every exaggeration of the truth, once detected by others, destroys our credibility and makes all that we say and do suspect as soon as a business colleague figures out that we tend to exaggerate. Guess what they'll always think? We exaggerate, and they'll never quite hold us in the same regard again. Never the tendency to exaggerate, distort, or even withhold the truth. Is an inherent part of all of us. It starts when we're kids, Johnny says. I didn't do it. Well, maybe Johnny didn't do it, but he probably had something to do with it. And then it continues. When we're adults, exaggerating the benefits of a product to make a sale. Exaggerating our net worth to impress old friends. Exaggerating how close we are to closing a deal to impress. The boss, and only an all-out disciplined assault, can overcome this tendency. It takes discipline to change a habit, because habits are formed a little bit each day, every day. Every day, once habits are formed, they act like a giant cable. They act like a nearly unbreakable instinct that only long-term, disciplined activity can change. We must unweave every strand of the cable of habits, slowly and methodically, until the cable that once held us in bondage becomes nothing more than scattered strands of wire. It takes the consistent application of a new discipline, a more desirable one, to overcome one which is less desirable. It takes discipline to plan. It takes discipline to execute our plan. It takes discipline to look with full objectivity at the results of our applied plan. And it takes discipline to change either our plan or our method of executing that plan. If the results are poor, it takes discipline to be firm when the world throws opinions at our feet. It takes discipline to ponder the value of someone else's opinion when our pride and our arrogance leads us to believe that we are the only ones with the answers. With this consistent discipline applied to every area of our lives, we can discover untold miracles and uncover unique possibilities and opportunities. Now, if discipline is the key word, and if discipline is the key action, then what exactly is discipline? One good answer might be the discipline is a constant human awareness of the need for action and a conscious act by us. To implement that action, discipline is an awareness of the constant need for action and a conscious act to implement that action. If our awareness and our implementations occur at the same time, then we begin a valued sequence of disciplined activity. Now, here's the other side of discipline. If there's considerable time that passes between the moment of awareness and the time of our implementation, then that is called procrastination. Procrastination, doing it tomorrow instead of today. Procrastination is almost exact opposite of discipline. The voice within us says, get it done, discipline, then says, do it now. Do it to the best of your ability today, tomorrow, and always until finally the worthy deed becomes instinctive. Procrastination says later tomorrow, whenever I get a chance. Procrastination also says do what is necessary to get by or to impress others. Do what you can, but not what you must. In every circumstance we face, we are constantly presented with these two choices. Do it now or do it later. Discipline and procrastination. A choice between a disciplined existence, bearing the fruit of achievement and contentment, or procrastination, the easy life for which the future will bear no fruit, only the bare branches of mediocrity. The rewards of a disciplined life are great, but they're often delayed until sometime in the future. The rewards for the lack of discipline are immediate, but they are minor in comparison to the immeasurable rewards of consistent self-discipline. An immediate reward for lack of discipline is a fun day at the beach. A future reward of discipline is owning the beach. For most, we choose today's pleasure rather than tomorrow's fortune. So how can you get rid of the easy distractions? How can you keep your mind on what you're trying to do? How can you keep an attitude of doing it all and doing it now? How can you make the choice of discipline over procrastination? How can you stay focused on your ambitions? How can you avoid conversations at the water cooler? You can keep your focus on your work. You can get it done today instead of tomorrow. You've got to really work on your consistent self-discipline on a daily basis, or you'll find yourself distracted by negative thoughts, distracted by negative people, distracted by water cooler chatter. And pretty soon, depending on the type of people you've associated with, distracted by your doubts. Within yourself, never underestimate the power of influence and associations, and never underestimate the power of your own consistent self-discipline. Now let's take a closer look at discipline at the 3 steps to becoming disciplined. First, true discipline is not the easiest option. Most people would rather sleep until 10 and get up at 6. It's easier to go to bed late, sleep late, show up late. It's easier first lesson of discipline is that it isn't easy to adopt. The second lesson of discipline is that it's a full-time activity. And we've said that the best form of discipline is consistent self-discipline. You see, the discipline that it takes to make your bed every day is the same discipline necessary for success. The discipline to organize your garage is the same discipline to organize your business. All disciplines carry through to affect all parts of our lives. If we're disciplined in just one area, discipline is imposing on ourselves the requirements for honoring these standards. Once we've adopted these standards of behavior and conduct, we're committed to honoring them. If we don't, then there can be no disciplined activity. We find ourselves announcing our standards to our relatives, our friends, our associates. We shout our beliefs and condemn those who believe differently. And then we don't walk the talk. We end up acting in a way far different from our beliefs. Shout. We tell our kids that TV is rotting their minds. We spend our evenings on it. We tell our employees that they must take advantage of the Yet, we spend 3 hours at work. Do as I say, not as I do. This is inconsistent. This leads to a loss of credibility. Among those who watch us, this leads to a loss of credibility within ourselves. Or even worse, changing procedures, changing standards, changing loyalties, and shifting frequently from one commitment to another, leaving behind a trail of broken friendships, unfinished projects, and unfulfilled promises. All because of a discipline that was either non-existent or imposed so infrequently that it was ineffective. Here's the third step to becoming consistently self-disciplined. One is realizing that discipline is the easiest option. Two, discipline is a full-time activity, day by day, every day. And the third step to becoming self-disciplined is really a philosophy that holds one of life's unique govern and explain behaviors. But this may well be the major law. We need to understand for every disciplined effort a multiple reward. For every disciplined effort a multiple reward. What a concept! If you render unique service, your reward will be multiplied with your fair and honest patient. Your reward will be multiplied if you give more than you expect to receive your reward. Is more than you expect, but remember the key word. As you might well know, requires care and attention. Everything about it. Set up our inner boundaries. Our codus of conduct or our thought will be confused, and with confused thoughts, we'll end up being confused, hopelessly lost in the maze of life. And Confused thoughts produce confused results. Look around you at this very moment in time. What might you be doing that needs attention? Perhaps you're listening to this program as you drive along in traffic, blowing your horn at someone ahead of you who isn't driving at the speed